Hi, good day, good night, good evening, depending on what time you happen to be watching this. Welcome to another episode of House of Stars. I'm your girl Starre, and today's episode is an Ask Starre installment. So I won't be doing any celebrity psychic readings in this very video, but of course you can always tune in where I'll be doing a next video on your next favorite celebrity. So comment in the description box on who you want me to read on next. Make sure it's like somebody like, I don't know. I hate to be like up to the times, so to speak, but I guess like let's stay within what's relevant, so to speak. But yes, this is now I just lost my train of thought. Okay, so this episode right now is just gonna be an Ask Starre installment. The next one is going to be a celebrity psychic reading. I'm not sure who I'm reading on yet. But if I see a majority of the same person in the comment box, then possibly I'll read on them. So the Ask Starre installment that I'm doing, as I mentioned before, that this is your chance to ask me anything that you like, just based on my, own advice, not necessarily on psychic readings or anything like that, or what I pick up psychically based on what you ask me. This is just regular life questions and what my opinion is and what you want to know about it, or whatever the case may be. So one thing is, I was strictly going to keep it to more like, I would say, mundane type questions. But you know what? I don't mind getting spiritual questions at all. But keep in mind, when it comes to spiritual questions, like, I wouldn't at all consider myself being a guru. I wouldn't consider myself being any kind of teacher of any sort. I really can only give you advice based on what I know and what I've learned, or based on anything that I've heard along the grapevine. And I would do my best to direct you to the right people, or the right sources, or the right things to look up to help you when it comes to your spiritual questions or inquiries that you may have. So keep in mind, if you want to send a question to me on the Ask Starre portion of this episode, you can always message me on my House of Stars page, which is on Facebook, and just inbox me your question, and I'll be able to answer it in the next video. A next thing too, when it comes to celebrity psychic readings, or who you guys want me to read on next, I know I'm kind of anal when it comes to this. I've been getting like a lot of inquiries in my business emails, like my business emails or my business inbox, which I don't want that happening, because usually when I do see these messages, I'm always thinking it's a business inquiry. I'm thinking it's something urgent. So if you want me to read on a celebrity, or you have any suggestions for a video, keep that strictly in the comment box. But when it comes to Ask Starre, because I do want to protect everyone else's identity, and I want to respect everyone's confidentiality, I don't mind it being sent to me on my House of Stars inbox on Facebook when it comes to the Ask Starre portion. So let me just move on right away. That was just a huge announcement. I just took too long with that. But the first question that I have is, it's very basic, but I'm going to answer it. It's very basic in question, but it can be very broad. And the question I had is, how do I achieve happiness? Now, this is a hard question, because this is something that I'm even trying to achieve myself in life. So, I'm going to be, I guess, vulnerable and have humility in that. I'm not going to say that I'm not a happy person. I'm a fairly happy person, but I'm just not where I exactly want to be yet when it comes to my goals to say that I'm extremely happy in my life and where I am. But I am grateful for all that I have and what I've achieved so far. But how do we achieve happiness? First of all, I think the biggest source that you need to look into, I like to read it on different levels. So whether it be spiritual, mental, and physical. And actually, I would say 4 different levels. So spiritual, mental, physical, and environmental. Okay, because at the same time, you got to keep in mind too, like, if you are a very empathic person, sometimes your mood, or the way that you think, or your energy, or whatever the case may be, can be your huge contribution to how it's affected, has a lot to do with your environment, right? So that's something that you need to check into. Now, you have to ask yourself, the first question I would always say to ask myself when it comes to happiness is, why am I not happy? Now, is it because of somebody else? Like, is there a certain person that I'm interested in? or a certain thing that I want that I feel like is unattainable? Or is it because, I just got laid off from my job? Or is it like, first of all, you have to ask yourself, and there's different specific questions that you can ask yourself, but you have to ask yourself, are the things that I'm unhappy about that is like robbing me from my happiness actually things that are beyond my control? Okay. So like where I see this now is that I see a lot of people, they're unhappy in situations, or they feel a sense of weakness in a situation because of another party, whether it be a relationship or a friendship or whatever the case may be. Now, this is a saying that I always live by, and I feel like this saying has come to me from one of my guides. Like, I don't even remember hearing it anywhere else, but it's something that I totally live by. Is God gives us free will, but where free will changes is when somebody else is involved, because they are granted free will as well. So, meaning it's like you're allowed to do whatever you want in life, even bad or good. You're allowed to do whatever you want. But where you cannot have what you want or have things go your way is when somebody else is involved, because that just changes the whole circuit. You know what I mean? Because if what they want or what they want to do does not align with what you want, then that's where there's no control. So the biggest thing that I'm trying to say to you is your happiness or your unhappiness, or your way of trying to achieve happiness, is it in something where it's bounded to something else where you do not have control? Now, that's one thing that I say. I'm always a big believer that we're allowed to have or think or want what we want. But at the same time, it's like certain things that I find that are difficult, or certain things that I find that take time, you should always, send it out to the universe for the universe to take care of and do what is necessary to get you where you need to be along your path. So when it comes to happiness, and I feel like what's worked for me, is the first thing I started off was I went with mental. I'm like, okay, why am I not happy? Like, what is not making me happy? And I made a list of those things that wasn't making me happy. Like, what was around me that didn't allow me to be the happy person I needed to be. The next thing was spiritual. Okay, now I understand, I do want to respect other people's religions, faiths, or creeds, or depending on what you do. But to be honest, people that have any kind of spiritual belief of any sort, or don't have a spiritual belief, would not be watching a video like this. So this will be obviously somebody that has some kind of spiritual belief. But then you have to ask yourself, spirituality is your hope system. You know what I mean? How much hope are you putting into your hope system? You know what I mean? And that your hope system is obviously your happiness, right? Because, what you put out there, what you put out in your energy, what you expect and what you hope to happen will eventually come to you. Next thing is physical. Physically, why am I not happy? Am I not eating well? Am I doing things or abusing substances of some sort that are causing me to be unhappy? Am I not putting myself in environments where, or being more physical, or putting myself in environments where I'm not always stuck in the same place to not be happy? And also, that what I just said also ties into environmental. Now, environmental is very key. Like, who am I hanging around? What am I around? You know what I mean? Whether it be friends. Are you constantly around friends that are just bitching day in and day out about their problems, that you don't even have a chance to even breathe, to even think about your own? Are you in a situation that you're around people that actually make you feel inadequate, that they don't make you feel worthy, that causes you unhappiness? Are you in an environment where maybe you're not allowing yourself to really go out and explore and, take in fresh air and be around different people? And that is another cause of your unhappiness. So those are a lot of factors that you probably should look through and see where your unhappiness is coming from. And after I just went on with that whole tangent, I think the best way of being happy is, and I think that what has worked for me and what I'm happy is standing true to what you desire, standing true to the best environment that you want for yourself, and staying true to what exactly you want for yourself. And once you start focusing on that it's like everything else that does not complement your virtues, your drives, and your goals just start to fall to the wayside without effort. And I find that's what allowed me to be a happy person, or allowed me to be a lot happier than I ever was for in a certain time frame in my life, because I started doing things, wanting things, and getting things that I desired. And it was also because I decided to make changes in my life that needed to happen to make myself move forward. So when it comes to happiness, of course, there's a lot of mundane spiritual things that you can do to make yourself happy. But most of all, I think the biggest thing in order to heal an issue, or to, heal the issue or work on your issue, is to see exactly what the source is first. Once you've moved yourself through that source, that's where you're going to ultimately achieve happiness, because on that pathway of finding out everything will allow yourself to make sense. Now, the biggest thing is, don't dwell in the things that you discover that cause you to be unhappy. If they're beyond your control, move on and find something else that will make you happy. So I kind of feel like I went all over the place with that. I hope that kind of helped you. The person that had that question is, how do you make one, how does one make themselves happy? So that's just my whole interpretation of that. The second question I had, which this is hopefully not going to be as long as the first question that I had, how I answered it, was what advice do you have for a person that, or a student in college right now? Now, college has been a while for me. I haven't been in college in a bit, but I find that college for me, like, made me, you know what I mean? It didn't only make me, not only for what I took and what I endured during college, but just that when you get in college, this is a time where it's like, okay, you are now educating yourself and putting yourself down the pathway of what future career you may have, or where your future may lead. So this is a part of education where everything means business. Like, either you do it or you're just wasting your time. I think the biggest thing that made me any advice I could give anyone in college is, I know people get stressed about studying, people get stressed about marks, and people get stressed about paying their tuitions and things like that. But these are all things that you have to pay, so why complain about them? You know what I mean? So that's like don't complain or focus your energy on things that are beyond your control, or they're just inevitable. When it comes to your work and your work ethic, I think that everything you do, you should work very hard at. You should put all your energy in it, because at the end of the day, keep in mind, all the effort that you make right now is going to make an impression on your future. And this doesn't necessarily mean what marks, or necessarily mean what grades. I mean just the work ethic. Like, if you have for whatever career that you're in, I would hope anyone that's in college is taking exactly what they plan on or wanting to be in life, that you are putting your full 100, because this is actually setting you up to be the successful person that you can be in your field, which is very important. So I find the biggest thing that was really good for me was setting challenges for myself, and seeing myself push myself, and push myself even beyond where I thought I can go. And if you don't know something, like, I know, sometimes people don't want to take tutoring and stuff like that because they rather just go home because they're just tired from their day. But, like, try to take the time to absorb yourself in your field and what it is that you're taking. Not on a sense of understanding what your professor's saying. I'm meaning on a sense of actually learning the language and the language and the system of what it is that you're studying. And becoming so much interested in that to the point that you'll be far and beyond successful in it. And I think that's the best advice I could give somebody that is going to college. I guess on a social standpoint, I think, again, it goes back to, I would say college does shape you. So just keep in mind that whatever happens, even if it's bad or if it's good, keep in mind that you're only creating memories at this point. Like if God blesses us with another 10, 15 years or 20 years, at the end of the day, like it's all moments, even if it's bad or good. And throughout any experience that you may have, on any standpoint, you're going to learn something from it. So yeah, actually I miss college. College is something that I do miss. Like, I was actually thinking about going back to school for something, just because I actually miss learning, but yeah, just learn. And when it comes to college students, I always say this: don't go to school for something just because you don't want to look like you ain't doing shit. Go to school for something that you honestly feel like you see yourself doing in the future, that you'd be interested. It won't feel like a job. It's actually a passion. Like, don't waste your time nor your money. Because I know plenty of people that have gone to college or university, have taken courses for things, and to be honest, they're not doing anything in their field that is even remotely relative to it. Don't get me wrong, I went to school for acting, but which I do plan on acting someday again. But at the same time, I try to stay as close to my field as possible. Even though God had other plans and what he's done with me, I still try to stay as close as possible to the passion. So find what you're passionate in. Don't be scared of, okay, am I going to get what's going to pay the bills or what? Just do exactly what you feel is that through and through in your heart that you can do with effortlessly and with utmost passion. So yes, that's it. That is the 2 questions that I had for the Ask Starre. I actually had a couple more, but I thought I'll leave them for another episode. But yes, if you have any questions, and like I said, I'm going to actually start adding in psychic questions. So if you have any spiritual questions or at all, again, disclaimer, I am not a guru. I am not a teacher. I can only teach you things and show you tips based on what I know or what I've learned, or, if I don't know it, I will, direct you in the right direction. But again, if you would like to get a reading with me, you can always book. The email address is in this description box. And if you do have an Ask Starre question, please inbox me on my House of Starres Facebook page. And don't forget to like it. Also, if you do like these videos that I'm doing, let me know. Give me feedback on what you think or what you want to see on the channel more often. Yeah, so make sure that you like, share, and comment. And yeah, so I do want to thank you so much for your time tonight. May God bless you and the angels protect you. Good night.